The following presentation is a production of WLWstudios.com.
You are listening to a production of WLWstudios.com. Available Fridays to start your weekend on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and TuneIn Radio. From the world-famous South Street in the city of Extreme, Philadelphia, proud members of the Shining Wizards Network, this is the Midnight Jury.
Back here on the Midnight Jury. We're celebrating our 2-year anniversary, and we are, of course, a product of WLWstudios.com, and we're broadcasting on the Shining Wizards Network on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and Audio Boom. Listeners, I am extremely proud to introduce someone who I've looked up to for many years, both as a performer and as a person. Dedication, love for the business, love for family, love for his fans. These are just some of the reasons why I do look up to him. He's the former ECW World Champion, a former ECW Tag Team Champion, WWE Hardcore Champion, the Innovator of Violence, Tommy Dreamer. Tommy, thank you so much for coming on the Midnight Jury.
Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it.
So how's everything been going?
Everything's been going very, very well. You know, so close to show day, which is, Saturday at the old ECW Arena. And just finished up, last-minute surprises, did hotel rooms, the usual behind-the-scenes stuff that I want to say what annoys me most is doing people's flights, because air travel costs so much. And, again, this is my company. It's all funded by myself until I find that rich Powerball or Mega Millions winner. But when, like, for example, Bobby Roode's flight from Canada is like $212. And then you'll get like a Carlito flight who's coming up from Texas, which is like $600.
Wow.
And makes absolutely no sense that someone could be coming from, another country, and it's less money, 3 times less than, a guy who's coming up from Texas. But it is what it is, part of being a promoter, I guess.
Absolutely. Now, I definitely want to get into House of Hardcore. That's the reason you called. It's the reason I wanted you on the show. I'm a huge fan of House of Hardcore. But I think my listeners, actually, they know me. They know I'm a little bit of a hothead sometimes, and I do apologize. This is going to be both an apology to you and a little story for the listeners, and I'm going to go over it real quick. What happened is... let me start off at the beginning, Tommy, because about a month ago, I was going to have a guest on the show, and I'm not going to name names or anything like that. It's not even from wrestling. We do we do pro wrestling, we do horror, and we do pop culture, all from the 80s and 90s, and every now and then we pull in current day. So this guy actually was from the horror genre, and he wasn't a huge horror name. It wasn't Robert Englund who played Freddy. It wasn't George Romero. He'd done one movie. He's known for one movie, and I'm just a big fan of it. So I was actually talking to him for over a week. It came down to interview day, and I got nothing. I couldn't get in touch with him. I ended up the next day going online, and it seemed I was like removed or blocked, and I don't know why. He had my number, and up until today, I'm still left high and dry with this guy. So that was the first guest I'd ever had. Like, we don't have guests on all the time. We like to keep it a more special occasion thing, especially for people that we really want on the show, like yourself. But I never actually had somebody not only blow me off, or even at least if he would have just said no politely, I would have been fine with that. So then it comes to you, and we spent a few days on the setting this up over like Facebook, and I always let guests I want them to, you clearly have a more busy schedule than I do, so I want you guys to, if you can give me a time when you're available, that's when I want to do it. If you said 2 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, I would be there. I'd make sure I could record it. So we were having a bit of trouble connecting on the exact time we were going to do it, and it was like 2 or 3 days, and I started to get these flashbacks from a month ago of of thinking like, oh no, here we go. Like I'm going to get had again. And I never announce somebody on the show ever until I know it's a definite. So I'm definitely glad I didn't announce that person. So I have some friends in the wrestling business around the New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia area. And I have two of them who are really close friends. One who I've known for 10, 15 years. One who I've known for like a few years. And one of them, when I spoke to him real quick, just to verify if you had this Facebook account, he was like, oh, you're talking to him on Facebook. I didn't realize that Tommy had Facebook. I thought he just had the Twitter. And immediately I was like, hold on. And I literally hung up with him. I went on your Twitter account and immediately saw your website, went to the website, and then under contact, it specifically said, if you're talking to someone on Facebook, it's a fake. So I literally almost hit the roof, and I was like, no, I cannot believe this happened. Like the second person in a row. Luckily, it was all cleared up. I ended up getting in touch with you through your email account and knowing and verifying it was you. But I want to apologize because I sent Tommy a message when I found out that apparently everything on Facebook was fake. I definitely sent a little bit of a rude message, like kind of accusing you of being a fanboy.
Well, this is actually quite entertaining to me, but I could actually totally appreciate it. The reason I was kind of very, very late to the Facebook game, just because of, just late to it and, really didn't get it. And there was an imposter of me on Facebook, and they actually tried contacting, at the time, my young niece, and this person knew everything about me, so I was like, I got to go out there and, at least have some social media presence. And I am a Twitter whore, but I am now on Facebook, and I'm trying to, let everybody know, hey, I'm out there, as well. I've joined the masses on, social media. So with you and I was wrestling that weekend. We were trying to set something up, and I was in North Carolina this past weekend when we were supposed to do the interview. And
that was for Omega?
They had a major ice and snowstorm for when we were originally supposed to be scheduled to do the interview. And, when I spoke to you, I think I had probably an hour of sleep on Sunday, and then it became, I want to say I had a 14-hour travel day, which I technically could have went to Japan and/or halfway to Australia for the amount of time it took me to get back from Raleigh. And so then when you hit me up with that thing, I totally laughed because, trust me, I got it. But he cut a scathing promo on me, telling me to get a girlfriend, telling me, to call me a fanboy. And it was very, very entertaining to me. And I was like, it's all good. And that's why. And then I went and I called you and I said, hey, it really is me. So, but, it is the good part and bad part of social media. My very, very, I guess, popular on Facebook, on Twitter, having, close to 500,000 followers. I'm verified and everything, but on Facebook, because it's kind of a fan page that, I will moderate, and, I don't even know how many people I have, but the fake Tommy Dreamers have more followers or likes on Facebook than the real Tommy Dreamer. So the fake me is way more popular than the real me.
Well, I do want to honestly.
Your promo was I want to say Paul Heyman-esque or Bubba Ray Dudley-esque about telling me to get a girlfriend, you fanboy. It was very, very entertaining.
I am very sorry about that. Even when you sent me the message on my phone, I had another host of the show in my studio with me, and it's the only girl that we have of the six of us, Sydney. The listeners will know who I'm talking about. And I had her in here, and I'm playing it. And she doesn't watch wrestling. That's the one thing we do that she doesn't do. And I'm playing her, and I'm like, it sounds like Tommy Dreamer, but there's points where I'm not sure. And she's like, I don't know what Tommy Dreamer sounds like to begin with. Why are you playing it for me? And I'm like, I'm just so confused. So once again, I am sorry about that, and we will now talk about House of Hardcore.
Again, hey, it's a memorable way to start our friendship. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So House of Hardcore, you said it earlier. It's going to be, we have the House of Hardcore 8. It's coming up March 7th. That's at the 2300 Arena, which is the ECW Arena. You can get tickets at houseofhardcore.net. Now, you have a stacked card. You already mentioned Bobby Roode. You mentioned Carlito. Of course, yourself. Can you tell us more about this event and this card?
Sure. It's Saturday. I have, I want to say, 4 what I would consider main events. I have, the Dudleys, Team 3D, Bubba and Devon versus Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels from TNA and Ring of Honor fame. I have Carlito versus Matt Hardy versus Lance Hoyt in I want to call it an extreme 3-way dance, which means anything could happen. Myself versus Eric Young, which kind of started from we had a little bit of a altercation in TNA,
and that was during the England or Scotland shows.
Yeah.
Yep.
And in what I consider a dream match would probably be the show stealer would be the Young Bucks versus Bobby Roode and Austin Aries, first time ever. And those guys are, if anyone has never seen the Young Bucks, my greatest comparison of them, they're big stars in Japan. They're a part of a very popular group now. It's called the Bullet Club.
Yep.
But the best comparison I could say, they are a mix between the Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, and the Hardy Boys. And there's nothing like them on the face of this planet when it comes to tag team wrestling. They are truly amazing. And if you've never seen them live, I sit there, and I've been a wrestling fan since I was 9 years old, and I'll be like, how are they doing this? It's just, they're amazing. And, Bobby Roode, Austin Aries, two both former world champions, in their own right, and amazing wrestlers. And I just, expect them to tear down the house. And, it kind of have that old school ECW motto of, if every match is, hey, top this, hey, top this. And I love that. I love that competitive fire. And for the fact that, I've been doing this now 25 years, I still have, that competitiveness, as well as I still have so many guys out there that are willing to bust their ass for me. It's truly an honor.
The one thing I have to ask you is I know of the Young Bucks. I know of the Bullet Club. I've seen their matches. I agree with you. I think they are awesome high flyers. They're awesome wrestlers. They'll blow your mind almost every time. But they do get a lot of criticism for being so small. And what do you say to that? What do you have to say about them being apparently too small?
The motto of my company is no politics, no BS, just wrestling.
Yep.
I don't care about your size. I care about your talent. A size thing is, I guess, only matters in penis length and for a lot of guys on television. There are some very, very talented smaller guys that I would take a team of smaller guys that have the work ethic as well as the pure ability than guys who are tall. Tall doesn't mean money. Tall doesn't mean they are great athletes. Tall just is a height requirement.
Absolutely, and having a comfortable locker room is probably just as important as having an amazing show.
Oh yeah, and again, these guys have stolen the show. I've used them. I want to say every show that I've had. This is how I go about it. I text them. I'm like, hey, I have this date. Are you open? And they're like, yep, or nope. And then if they say nope, I'll be like, crap, let me see if I can get another date. That's how high I am on them because they're so damn good in the ring.
Awesome. Now I have a question about the future. Where in the future, where do you see House of Hardcore going? Do you have any aspirations for TV or a House of Hardcore title or anything that you could spill about your future plans for House of Hardcore?
Yeah, I'm kind of, slow and steady wins the race. I would love the right opportunity with television. The title picture, I don't want to have a title just yet. To me, it's just a show. In the sense of, if I have television, that's where my audience can watch my wrestlers grow, and you watch them from day one and watch them to mature into, the championship title picture and all that stuff. And to me, if, I do have television, the main focus will be my heavyweight title, because that's what I feel it should be. So I would kind of wait for a championship or a title up until I have a show, and then, it's balls to the wall.
Now, I have a few, what I would call them House of Hardcore headlines, things that I have witnessed either myself I was at House of Hardcore 5, I had tickets for 7, but had to go do a show in Greenville, and now I'm so happy to have tickets to House of Hardcore 8, but I've also, we go out, we want the DVDs, we get the DVDs, and we also see the stuff on the internet. The first thing I want to know is, at the first event, at the very first House of Hardcore event, you had a defense of the FWE Championship where Carlito defeated you and Mike Knox. Then at the last one, you had you fighting Bobby Roode for the TNA World title. And then at the one I attended on 5, I don't think it was defended, but you had AJ Styles fighting Kevin Steen, and he was the IWGP champion at the time. Is this going to be a continuing trend where you're going to show the respect to these other titles, bring in other titles, defenses, and whatnot?
100%. Again, like I said, no politics, no BS, just wrestling. I remember growing up as a fan and seeing, these super dream matches or super cards, and I loved it. And, with how the thing happened with Bobby Roode was I was scheduled to take on Ethan Carter, who was in TNA, and he tore his bicep. And I told Bobby Roode, who's, my friend, he's like, I'll come in, bro. You don't even have to pay me. And, which is
wow,
awesome. And he was there for me, and we tore it up. And even with, TNA says, you want to make it a title shot? Sure. And, it also gives credibility to my company. And again, this is just my 8th show that I'm having all these titles defended on my shows. And, I love stuff like that because, again, and I'm a wrestling fan, and I know what I want to see. And, that's kind of about it. And, when I did, I work, I'm not under contract with anybody, but I work for a lot of companies, and when it was for FWE, I was the champion at the time, and I said, hey, I'm going to put the title up on the line. He's like, yeah, man, I love the press. Cool. So that's kind of how it goes. And you look at social media and how social media is, pretty much changing the face of professional wrestling. It's an amazing time to be a fan. You talk about how, we jokingly met. We met through social media. But, I mean, social media has already changed the main event of a WrestleMania. And, the fans are voicing their pleasure or their displeasure with, the current wrestling product.
Yep.
And it's great for me because, I'm going to keep on listening to everyone's voices and, try to give the fans what they want. And so far it's been very, very fortunate for me and for the quick and rapid growth of my own company.
Well, I do have a question about that, because you do say you always give the fans what you want or what they want, and I completely agree with that. And I have one question before I actually delve into that exact subject, and it's about Beulah. And I just know that at the last show she made her last ECW Arena appearance, or was it her last appearance overall? And when I was at House of Hardcore 5, I was lucky enough to be able to meet her. She was helping out, helping out everybody, helping out the crew. Are people going to still be able to see her when they come to see a House of Hardcore show, even if she's just helping everybody out?
It was her last appearance, and that's another thing with me being me, and funny from that guy, it's still real to me, damn it. The one thing I always hated as a wrestling fan was you make a stipulation, oh, this guy's going to retire, or oh, this guy's fired, and, they come back on television 2 to 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
I have stood by whatever stipulations that I had put my name on. For instance, when I wrote TNA TNA's Hardcore Justice. And I said that would be the last ever Tommy Dreamer versus Raven match. And I've had independent promoters want to do me versus Raven, and I would just be like, no. And they were like, why? And, it's not about the money. It's about my credibility with the fans. And that's why I never did it. For one of yes, it is a selling point, but then it has to be a selling point of it. And you have to keep your stipulation. For one of my shows, I had, it was going to be the last time you were going to see Tommy Dreamer and Terry Funk tag together. And that was the last time. What else? I had P.D. Williams, who's an amazing wrestler, versus another wrestler, and Tony Nese versus another wrestler, Alex Reynolds. I said, this is going to be the last time you ever see this three-way. I didn't even know P.D. Williams had to retire. But to me, it's, that's a big part of a lot of what's missing in wrestling today. It's, credibility. And I'm trying to give, legitimacy or credibility to, the business. Because, again, it's social media. You can't go out there and say, what used to be able to get away with back in the day, because it can't happen. You can't say, oh, this is the first time ever Andre the Giant was body slammed, when you can go on YouTube and watch Andre the Giant get body slammed 15 times by other wrestlers,
Yep.
So, I'm sure we'll be there helping me out if I need her. I don't think she's going to be at the next show, because I have my daughter's birthday, and she's going to be home being an amazing mother that she is. So, but, I know when I need her, she's always there for me. She's always had my back.
Awesome. And she's so nice, and I definitely make sure she knows that there's a lot of people out there who still love her no matter what, and I'm sure she knows that too.
She was overwhelmed at my last show, and she said she had so much apprehension of, will the fans still remember me? And then the moment she walked out, and they were like, thank you, Beulah, and gave her that amazing ovation. And, wrestling fans are the best, man. They're a lot like horror fans, where they remember every single thing you've ever done. And she was at a loss for words for that the fans still remembered her and gave her such a nice send-off. Another thing that I hate about professional wrestling is, here's a person, I don't know who I can use as an example. You see them every single week on television, and all of a sudden they just disappear. So many people thought, when I left WWE, that I was retiring or all that stuff, and no, man, I'm still out there. I actually probably work just as much as I did when I was in WWE, but, you work in independence, or you work in Japan, Puerto Rico, and so many fans, you never get to say goodbye to your audience. You never get to say goodbye to the fans that supported you your whole entire career. And I hate that. The wrestlers, they still do exist. The wrestlers, and I want to let every single wrestler have a chance to say goodbye, because it's closure. It's closure for the wrestling fans, and wanted to do that. And she even said, my career started in the ECW Arena. I would like to close it there. And I said, great, you're booked. And I didn't pay her. I went old school ECW as well. And then, but it was an amazing moment. And she was extremely happy to be there for her own self. And she's not the biggest wrestling fan anymore, just because of, she's been a part of it for so long, and she's seen the good and the bad of the business. And but she was very, very, hey, thanks for letting me do that, which, you don't have to tell your husband thank you, Yeah. And it was great, and the fans, it was a real moment. And, that realism is, to me, what wrestling was all about.
Absolutely, and I'm glad her and the fans and everybody got that moment, because that's really awesome. Now, to go back to a few things you were saying just before, you were talking about Bad Influence, and you were talking about Tony Nese and all them. One headline, and one thing that actually, I'll be honest, it really pissed me off at the time, was when Bully pulled out of House of Hardcore 5 literally at the last minute, and it nullified the Bad Influence versus Dudley match, which we are now getting at House of Hardcore 8, which I am so excited for, because even then, the Dudleys have been my favorite tag team team since I knew who they were of all time. And Bad Influence, or now they're called, I forget what they're called in ROH. I don't remember, but they are literally
something like that.
Yeah, they
I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, they are.
Daniels and Kazarian.
Yeah, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian. They are one of my favorite tag teams from TNA. I always try to watch ROH to see them. I find them so entertaining, and I was so excited for that match. And although it did anger me. I do want to say that when the replacement match, which was Bad Influence versus Petey Williams and Tony Nese, was probably my favorite match of last year. And I credit you and House of Hardcore and the guys in the match for that. So I need a few things answered if you can. If you can't, that's okay. Number one, what did you think of the outcome of that match being on the fly? And number two, did TNA truly give Bully no choice, or was it to lead into the angle that we saw unfold on TNA?
It's funny, I hit up Petey Williams all the time, like, hey, coming out of retirement yet? And he just went out and got a really, really good job. And, he has to work weekends, and he's like, I miss it, but yeah, I'm still retired. He's like, but if I ever unretire, I'm going to come work the shows. I was amazed with that match. Tony Nese is one of the best unknown talents out there. The guy can do it all. And yes, I was super happy with that match. I would book Daniels Kazarian every show that I have. They have, commitments with Ring of Honor, but, I'm big fans of them both personally and professionally. That whole thing, again, if you know anything about me or my past experiences with ECW, we used to have stuff like that all the time happen, and, it's funny, and sometimes ironic, even with with TNA Hardcore Justice. I was going to do Jerry Lynn versus Rob Van Dam. On the plane to Orlando, Jerry Lynn said, hey man, I can't get out of bed. I'm not making the show. I lost my main event, and then I switched my whole card around, and I did Rob Van Dam versus Sabu, and it was even better. Bubba was told he had to go to the Spike TV Awards. He said, I pretty much have to do this. I'm obligated to make appearances like this. I didn't think it wasn't a personal dig at me or a shot at my company by TNA whatsoever. I do help out there behind the scenes. And then I would go on with him and say, listen, we're going to tell the truth. Never lie to your fans. That's what we got from ECW TNA Poldu. We're going to make it bigger. And then from there, I was able to take from an independent company. I was able to go and voice my opinion, which was all real, on TNA's television show. And that started the entire, move for the summer until Dixie Carter went through a table, and I will commend her for taking her first ever bump and, kind of going out on her sword, because she did get hurt.
Absolutely.
But that was an amazing time for television, and, it got me and my company, and think about that, we only were on our 4th and 5th show, national television coverage. So it was a win-win situation, and we turned a negative into a positive, and that's, how, to me, we should be. You look at, I look at this business like a real sport, in the sense of somebody tells me, hey, I can't make the show. The last show, too, I had Ethan Carter got hurt, boom, Bobby Roode stepped up. Back in the day, you always hear the story of Wally Pipp. He was an all-star first baseman, he got hurt, and then Lou Gehrig stepped up into his place.
Yep.
And Lou Gehrig had a really good career. So, there's stuff like that magic happens. It seems to happen a lot, especially in that arena. So it's, going to be great. I had the first ever appearance of Alberto Del Rio, El Patron, now his first, post-WWE experience after my show, and that happened because he was in the area, and he texted somebody, and they were like, oh, my Dreamer show. He's like, really? Can I stop by? And I said, hell yeah, you can. And I go, you want to go out there and do whatever? Yes. And he did it.
Wow, I did not know that. That is awesome.
He came back with tears in his eyes, and he had goosebumps. He had lost his voice, and he said, "Thank you." He was thanking me. I said, "Dude, thank you. And anytime you want to come back, I got you." And the stuff that he said to me personally after that was amazing. And I said, "Listen, I've been there. At times you're made to feel like you don't matter. At times you feel like you're made to be a piece of crap. But the wrestling fans, they tell you you're not a piece of crap." And that's from people not being in that building for maybe 15, 16 years to him never being at that building and just saying to the fans, because again through social media they know what was going on with him, and just be like, "We love you." And my greatest sight was him diving into the audience and the fans just hugging him.
Yep.
And it was great. It was an amazing moment, and I'll always say this: some of my father has passed away, and some of my amazing moments of my life have been with my dad watching wrestling. And wrestling transcends ages, in the sense of you will go to a show, you'll see grandparents sitting with their kids, sitting with their kids, and everyone's just sitting there enjoying a night of wrestling. And those are moments that live are amazing, and I love that stuff.
I actually,
as you know.
No, I was going to say I know exactly what you mean with the going and watching wrestling with your father. My father and I actually, when I was real young, went to go see Hogan and Bad News main event a house show at the Nassau Coliseum. We were from Northeast Jersey, and on the way back, we got caught in New York City and lost it was Harlem. And we ended up having to get out of the car and ask for directions. But because we were wearing, both me and my father was sport enough to dress up too. We were both wearing the Hulk Hogan ripped shirts with the bandanas. We got out of the car, and everybody who was awake at the time, it was late at night, literally was like, "Oh, Hulkamania, oh, yeah, well, what can we do to help you?" And that was one of the greatest memories I have of wrestling, and it involves my father also.
That's awesome. And, for me, you always capture stuff. Watching it on pay-per-view is great. But being there live, man, it's something. And I've had those. I always kind of pride myself on having unadvertised surprises, and I have a whole lot of them for this show. And no matter how much live television or live pay-per-view can capture, there's nothing like being there live, because you can say, "Hey, you were there." And TV does not do justice, or iPay-per-view, of how loud that building can be at certain times, or how fans just jumping up, hugging each other. It's great. I love that emotion. It's, to me, a rock concert in the sense of people listen to a song and it immediately triggers a moment in time in their life, and it hit them. They can go back to where they were, who they loved, who they lost at that moment. And to me, that's what I want people, when they leave my show, I want them to just be like, "So, wow, what a great show." And, that's kind of how I've been looking at things. And,
well, you definitely succeeded with me at House of Hardcore 5. I wish I could have been there at 7, and I'm sure you're going to succeed with House of Hardcore 8, and I'm genuinely pumped up to go there on Saturday. The last question I actually have is, there's always been kind of like a little feud between the New York ECW fans and the Philly ECW fans, a friendly rivalry. I noticed that all the House of Hardcore shows are mostly in New York and in Philly. So are you going to continue that? Are you going to give equal time to both New York and Philly fans of House of Hardcore?
100%. I like the fact that the fans take pride in, where they're from, and it's also when I did a show out in San Diego that was very successful, and to have people travel to your show, the last show I had 11 countries represented, but to have people take pride, or it's just like being part of a baseball team, and every show is different, every arena is different. So you kind of going to go like that, but then as a booker, it tests my knowledge to see, hey, what would work here, what would work there. And, I mean, hell, I had to live it, because I was always hailed from Yonkers, New York, and I will say to my dying day, I was born into this world as Tom Laughlin, but when I leave this world, I'll be most known for being Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer was born in Philadelphia, and I never had that Philly or New York thing, but I love it. And I having to go through it when, hey, you're supposed to be a babyface, and they announce where you're from, and then all of a sudden, boo, it's great. And then it proves how good of a babyface you are if you can win them over. And what's going to win them over? Your talent. So, it's awesome because it's taking pride, and you should take pride in all that you do, or all that you support. You look at it, why would anybody want to support the Chicago Cubs? They haven't won a World Series in forever. It's because they're fans, and they want to see that happen.
Yep.
And hey, I want to root for. I'm a Philly guy. I want to root for House of Hardcore in Philly. I'm a New York guy. I want to root for House of Hardcore in New York. So, me, I love it.
Awesome. Tommy, thank you so much for being on the show. Everyone can follow you on Twitter at The Tommy Dreamer or The Tommy Dreamer. And the page that is The Tommy Dreamer on Facebook that has, I think it's around 11 or 12,000 followers. I follow Tommy, so, that's real, everybody. So you can, and his website, thetommydreamer.com, is also real. You could get tickets and DVDs of House of Hardcore at houseofhardcore.net. Tommy, real quick, what do you have? Are you an XL, 2XL, somewhere in there?
I'm an XL, as fat as I am, but I'm an XL still. Make my arms look bigger.
All right, because
I wear a woman's medium because it makes me look even bigger. No, I'm like it.
I'm hoping we have very little shirts left, but I think we do have an XL left, and I look forward to seeing you on Saturday, and I'm going to bring you a shirt to thank you so much for being on the Midnight Jury. We really do appreciate it. And if you could hold on the line for 1 second when we go to break, I just want to talk to you real quick off the air, if that's okay.
You got it, bro. Thank you, and thank you all the fans for, especially in Philly, supporting me in my journey in the best business in the world. And if it wasn't for you guys, I would never have been here. So I owe you guys everything, and that's why I kind of go balls to the wall, especially in Philly, for this show. This show actually will be my lowest profit, but my biggest gain because of what it's looking to go forward. And this is my Super Bowl of shows, and I hope you're all going to be there and enjoy it. Thanks.
Absolutely. All right. We will see you Saturday. After this ad break, we will be back on our 2-year anniversary special with our review of Philly's own Rocky. We will be right back.